What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It is Joe talking about the Kansas State Wildcats, and I know I haven't made a video in a little bit, but we are fresh off Big 12 Media Days, and I've got some important stuff I want to talk about, and it is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. This is going to be my opinions list based off the top 5 players I am most excited to watch in the fall football season. And let me get the disclaimer out of the way. If your favorite player or person you want to watch in the fall isn't on this list, keep in mind it's just my personal opinions, so don't, come for me with pitchforks in the comment section. I know that you could land anybody up on this roster, and I'd be stoked to watch him play, but these are the 5 people I am most excited to watch. Before we do get going on the list, let me say we're about 100 subs-ish away from hitting 1,000, and once we cross that threshold, we're going to be giving away a lavender quarter zip, just like the one I'm wearing here, if you can kind of see that around the mic. So if you're interested in getting your hands on one of these super sweet lavender quarter zips, go ahead and consider subscribing. But let me get started on my list here. Now, keep in mind, there's 1,000 different players that I'd want to watch in the fall. Starting at number 5, I listed DJ Giddens as my guy here. Now, I'm well aware that Treshaun Ward might be taking more of a starting role and DJ might fall into that backup spot, but I don't think it's going to be such a cut and dry, here's the one, here's the two. I think the two of them are going to really combine well and kind of have a running back committee, which everybody talks about. And Klieman even mentioned that too, like you don't replace a guy like Deuce Vaughn with just one dude, even though that both these guys could be capable of doing something similar. Obviously not at the same standard immediately, knowing Deuce Vaughn was one of the best players in all of college football, but I'm stoked to watch DJ. I mean, this is a big-bodied running back who averaged, I think, about 5 yards a carry when he did get some snaps last season. Let me read you his stats here. 89 carries, 518 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, averaging 5.8 yards per carry. This is a dude who came in as a freshman and really performed. 6'1", 212 pounds out of Junction City, Kansas. The dude is ready to go. And I think watching him take another step forward, watching him get another year of experience under his belt, DJ Giddens could really transform into an NFL player as the season continues to go forward. Obviously, this year it's not going to be his, you're the main guy, you're the top guy to focus on. But I think Treshaun Ward I could have also put into this spot. But I think watching DJ will be an interesting stat because I think there's a little bit more of an unknown with DJ, even though that Treshaun hasn't taken a snap at K-State. We do know what he's capable of. So I did want to mention DJ Giddens on this list. Number 4, and take this with a grain of salt because I could have easily put this guy at 1. Will Howard. Don't come for me yet. Let me explain why. Will Howard is a guy that everybody wants to see. Everyone in the Big 12 wants to see this guy. Everybody in the country has an idea of what Will Howard can do. The only reason I didn't put him higher, I'm so stoked to watch Will play, and this is not a shot at Will by any means. I think I know at a bare minimum what I get from Will Howard. At the very, very worst, if Will Howard's playing his worst football, in my mind, he's still the 4th best quarterback in the Big 12. If he's at his best, he's a Heisman finalist in my mind. Obviously, it might be more of a dark horse situation, but I know at least at a core level what I'm getting from Will Howard. So that's the reason I slotted him a little bit lower than some of these other guys. I think he's 21 passing touchdowns away from breaking the Kansas State passing touchdowns record for a career, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. Will has a real possibility of accomplishing that feat, and I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the Big 12. He was my pick for the preseason quarterback, offensive player of the year. Obviously, both those went to Jalen Daniels, but I think Will just easily could have gotten to that spot, and I don't think that he's too broken up about it. He's not one of those guys that's, I'm going to show him now. It just feels like he's got a little bit more maturity in that, and you felt it at Big 12 Media Day. Like, watching him walk in, he was the dude. Everybody knew he was the dude. The entire team knows you can win a Big 12 championship with Will Howard at quarterback, which I loved that quote. I mean, the entire fan base knows it, but seeing him as being the guy going into camp, going into summer, going to whatever it is, Will's going to be the guy, and I'm stoked to watch him. We all know about Will Howard. I'm not going to have to, list off about him too much. We all know his stats and how good he did last season. I think he could really, really lead this team towards a college football playoff consideration if everything goes right. You can't really lose more than one game in that situation, so I think Will has every bit of a possibility if this team is what they are on paper. My 3rd spot, and let me explain why here. VJ Payne, the safety. Now, this dude is going to be a stud. I know there's a couple of different guys at safety, Kobe Savage as well. There's a lot of guys in different positions in the secondary that I'm interested in watching. VJ Payne, and maybe I'm buying a little bit into the hype, this dude is walking around looking like Chris Hemsworth. I mean, the guy is jacked. If you haven't seen the pictures, True Carroll, one of our strength and conditioning coaches, I'm not sure if he's the main guy or not, he absolutely transforms these dudes. They look like aliens walking around. VJ Payne put on a ton of weight, ton of muscle in the offseason. He's ready to go. I think he found action in about 4 games last season as a true freshman, so he was kind of forced to play as we had injuries hit the secondary last season. He played in that Alabama game. He played in some of these big games. The Big 12 championship, he saw snaps. Like, this dude could really take a step forward, and I'm stoked to watch him. I'll put up the picture of him being a Greek god here somewhere because that alone, I'm on the Payne train. This dude is ready to go. Number 2, and this should come as a shock to nobody. I'm sure a lot of your number 1s, Ben Sinnott, the tight end. Now, I think Ben Sinnott has every bit of possibility in the world to break every single tight end record at K-State. Shout out to my boy Caleb for the research on this one. I was trying to find it, couldn't find it myself. The K-State record for all 3 catches, yards, and touchdowns for a tight end are dramatically low. We've had good tight ends, but I don't think we've ever had a player to the stature or to the standard that Ben Sinnott is walking in this season as. Last season, this is what Sinnott's stats were. 31 catches, 447 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 14.4 yards per catch, which I think was 4th or 5th in the country at the tight end position. The K-State career records. 38 catches in a season. Sinnott was 7 catches off that last year. 595 yards. That's Russ Campbell back in 1991. Sinnott had 447. About 100 shy there. 5 touchdowns. He had 4 this year. 2 against Baylor. The guy can go. He's ready to go. I don't think there's going to be a chance that he misses out on any of these barring any injury. If he stays healthy, I think Sinnott really improves to an NFL draft pick. In the top, he could be a top 50 player by the end of the season. And in case you don't believe me, On3, the ranking service, just recently released a story about 10 offensive players in all of college football who deserve more hype at an NFL level. Ben Sinnott was one of the guys mentioned on this list, and I'll read you what was said. This list comes from Matt Zenitz. Now, here's what he had to say about Sinnott. Sinnott, a product of the same Iowa hometown and high school as Kansas State head coach Chris Klieman, has evolved into a potential top 3-round draft pick after initially arriving in Manhattan as a walk-on. The 6'4", 245-pound Sinnott, who has put on more than 30 pounds since joining the Wildcats in 2020, was a first-team All-Big 12 selection last season and was recently tabbed as preseason All-Second Team heading into this year. Sinnott finished last season with 31, 447, and 4 touchdowns, and it was the most catches and receiving yards from a tight end in the last 14 years at K-State. He also ranked 4th nationally among tight ends with an average of 14.4 yards per catch. This dude deserves some more hype, and that's why he's so high on my list. But the final player, and maybe this is a little personal bias, it's a guy that I cannot wait to see put the pads on, get back on the football field, Kobe Savage. And I know that might be a mainstream pick here. The way Kobe's season ended was heartbreaking to watch. K-State goes on to win a Big 12 championship, has to watch both the Sugar Bowl and the Big 12 championship after leading the defense as one of the best players out there. He was my pick for Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. I think this dude is going to come back with a Toyota Camry-sized boulder on his shoulder. I think Kobe not only is one of the most vocal leaders on the football field, he's a charismatic dude. He's a good dude that, he's going to be an NFL player. He is. And I think you can see that. Like, K-State's had a really sneaky run of defensive backs go to the NFL. You've seen it with Russ Yeast. You've seen it with, actually, even before Russ Yeast, you saw that with DJ Reed. You saw Russ Yeast. You saw AJ Parker. You now see Josh Hayes get drafted. Guys that go out and have a good career. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Julius Brents. Kobe Savage could be that next guy. I think Kobe's going to be the guy that really fires this defense up and takes us to that next level. If the team wants to improve on last year's defense, obviously you lose a guy like Felix, which is tough. We have the bodies and the players that can fill in that, not necessarily Felix's spot. We've got guys ready to take this defense up another notch. The linebacker core, you could have mentioned anyone on that list. Austin Moore, Daniel Green. Everybody talks about Green. There's a lot of guys you could have highlighted here. This is my top 5. Let me know what you guys think about it. And in the comment section, maybe even give me your top 5 of guys you want to see. I think you could definitely make a case for a Keegan Johnson on offense. You could definitely make the case for Uso on defense. It seems like there's hype building in the building. I know that's kind of lame to say, but I'm so stoked to watch it. And we're sitting here, 5 or 6 weeks away from college football. I can't wait to see what happens. I am so stoked. So that's why I wanted to make a little bit more of a preseason hype list for you guys and for myself. Let me know what you think about the video. Go ahead and drop a comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. We appreciate it every single day. But let me know your guys' list. If that's something you're interested in doing in the comment section, I'd love to read through and your reasons as to why. But I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and go Cats.